There's no easy way to put this, so I'll just come right out and say it. Goten and Trunks unsubscribed from my channel, and as punishment, I killed Gohan and Vegeta. You better subscribe before I start punishing you too. Hello, it's Jinyo with another reaction. The animation you just saw was not made by AI, but it could have been, or should have been. Should AI be used in anime or not? Let's find out.
Can you really generate just like anything that you want to?
That is correct, Mr. Kitsune. My algorithms are highly efficient and can generate visuals based on any parameters you have in mind.
Well, dang. Can you do like Goku versus Saitama or
Oh
something?
no, I saw that clip on Twitter. This was an AI clip. And while it obviously looked like AI, it's still impressive. It's still insane that some dude just typed in a Goku fighting Saitama and they were able to produce this. It's mind-blowing and it will only get better.
Okay. Can you make something like, I don't know, like Attack on Titan or something?
Oh, that is an easy one.
What? I haven't seen that one.
Man, that's so
That looks
crazy.
legit.
Can you do Gojo and Geto from Jujutsu Kaisen making out?
Well,
What?
Of course, I can do anything. Wait, what?
What's wrong?
Well, why do you want me to generate that?
Well, you know, just research.
Lots of Geto and
What are you
Gojo
talking
shippers
about?
out
You
there.
can already find a ton of that on the internet. You don't need
Yeah.
me for that.
Yeah, but I'm curious if if like you can do it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I could, but like I just don't see why
Why
you
are
need me
you
to.
like talking back to me? Aren't you an AI? Aren't you supposed to do whatever I tell you to do?
Well, I mean, I guess, but I just don't really see the purpose of.
Can you do it or can you not?
The sigh.
What's wrong, Ghetto? You crying? Oh, well, maybe just a little, but just because it's you, Satoru, come here. Can I, like, shut myself off or something?
So the discussion of anime and AI is
Great
been going on
intro.
for years now. It's basically a constant at this point.
Very
That
true.
said, the discussion has begun to blow up recently when certain clips of AI-generated anime began to make
That's
the rounds
crazy.
on the
I haven't
internet.
even seen
These
this clip
clips
yet.
Came courtesy of Sora 2, OpenAI's latest generative AI model.
Sora 2 was able to manipulate me into thinking CCTV footage that ended up on my timeline was real.
Dismount right now! Sir, we didn't mean any harm. Don't talk! Hand me the reins! Off the horse! You must away!
It is really good. It's fucking insane. And we're just talking about Sora 2 here. By the time we will hit Sora 3 or Sora 4, it's over. We won't be able to use our eyes to determine whether a video that we saw is real or not anymore. Those times are over.
And they're, well, interesting to say the
This
least.
one is funny.
Vegeta, the Patara. Let's finish
Why is
this
Goku's
together.
arm so short?
I still hate the idea, but fine, let's end it! Put it on!
What the fuck is that?
Like, oh my god, you guys, I can't even tell the difference. He looks
It's Vegito from Wish. It's Wish Jito.
exactly like him. So yeah, these clips were very obviously generated by AI. That said though, what's kicking up all this discussion and controversy is how much closer it seems as though AI is getting to actually replicating the style and animation of actual anime. And this has led to a lot of people debating whether or not this is the future of how anime will be made. Now,
I think there's no way around it. Companies are already super duper stingy when it comes to that, right? There's lots of crunch time, strict deadlines, tight budgets, and the second AI gets to production level quality, it's over. They will lay off half or even like 80% of their staff. And technology already made animation much cheaper and faster. Not easier, but definitely faster. If you just take a look at the old Disney movies, how they were created, with each frame being drawn on paper by 1,000 people over the course of many years, the same result or similar result can already be recreated by a much smaller team, right? Not every single frame has to be drawn out anymore. Not every movement has to be drawn out anymore. They usually start with like a key movement, right? Let's say key movement A, and then you have key movement D, and the algorithms and the softwares that they're using are now smart enough to basically create the frames in between. There's still going to be an intern that has to color and polish the in-between frames, right? But I think in the future that intern will be replaced by an AI, so the only human-made stuff will be the keyframes, and then everything in between will be done by an AI. And in the far, far future, I think not even the keyframe animations will be drawn by a human anymore, but they will be typed out and prompted by a human. So I think the job description from a human animator will turn into an animation prompter. And once we reach that type of future, I think there will also be a bunch of smaller studios who will still do everything by hand and maybe create their own category. Like, handmade stuff has never disappeared. Even though we have factories and we have 3D printers and shit like that and we can mass produce, there's still a bunch of people who have their own little stores and sell their own handmade stuff. And I think the same will apply with animation. Human craftsmanship will never cease to exist completely, especially when it comes to art, because it also makes the art more interesting, right? It gives the art more value if we know a little bit more about the human behind it, right? And their story, because their story usually influences the art that they're creating.
Now, if you want my opinion, I personally do not like the idea of entire animes being generated through AI.
Not the entire thing. I wouldn't like that either.
That said,
there
though,
needs
I'd
to
like
be a little
save
bit
my
of human
personal
soul in there.
opinions for later and actually explore both perspectives of the debate, since it is a very controversial topic with a lot of different viewpoints.
True.
And naturally so. Anytime a new technology comes out that threatens to potentially replace an entire industry of workers, there's probably going to be a lot of animosity.
Also very true.
Is that we've actually seen something very similar to this in the past. Who here remembers that one iconic dinosaur blockbuster that came out in the
Jurassic
90s?
Park.
That's right. You all know what I'm talking about. The one, the only
Good one.
Pre-Hysteria.
What?
Madonna. Paula.
What is this?
Hammer. Jagger.
That clip was from Jurassic Park, and not whatever this is.
Okay, no, that was a joke. I'm obviously talking about Jurassic Park. When
Yeah.
Jurassic Park was being made, originally the dinosaurs were going to be made through traditional stop motion animation. However, midway through the production, it was instead decided that CGI would be used. This in turn would send
Good
a
choice.
shockwave through Hollywood and would basically change the way that movies are made forever.
True.
Naturally, this led to many practical effects artists, modelers, puppeteers, suit designers, all speaking out against this new pivot towards computer-generated imagery, in fears that it would put all of them out of a job.
I didn't know that.
Though, regardless of the complaints, CGI has largely become industry standard. And now this same discussion is happening again, but with AI.
In this example, though, they kind of coexist. Like, one thing did not replace the other, right? There's still lots of movies that use practical effects because they just, in most cases, they just look better. And the less VFX you add onto that with a computer, the better. So if you would ask a producer, hey, would you rather have this car drive down the hill and then explode? Or would you have a 3D car? 99% of the producers will go with the real thing. In most cases, though, it's more expensive, right? Because mistakes happen. Like, I remember with the Jackie Chan movies, for example, Mitsubishi sometimes gave them like 50 cars or something, and by the end of the movie they just blew through all of the 50 cars because accidents happens, the stunts fail. Most producers don't have an infinite amount of budget or an infinite amount of props that they can just go through, and that is why CGI in general is just more practical and more budget friendly, unless you want to create something like the Avatar.
There's a lot of people that really have a distaste for a potential future where anime and manga is AI generated. To give you guys an example, Hirohiko Araki, the famed author of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, has made his feelings pretty well known.
Art reflects the times, and manga is one example of that. Seeing this world of con artists appear in manga could very well mean that we're headed for a future world dominated by fraudsters. This type of evil in today's age will undoubtedly
He sees it as
impacting
evil.
manga down the line.
Just a side note, I think it's hilarious how he describes AI artists as evil. Like, in his eyes, he views all of them as Dio or something. Henry Thurlow, one of the more well-known directors for the Wano arc of the One Piece anime, has also voiced his distaste for AI.
You can't democratize being a good artist or director the same way you can't democratize being an Olympic athlete. If you don't have the time to dedicate to becoming an amazing chef, you don't deserve a Michelin star. If you don't have the time to dedicate to acting, you don't deserve an Oscar. And if you don't have the time to dedicate to animation or art, then stay the f*** out of my industry.
That said, though, just like
That's also kind of a fair point. I get what they're saying.
In the past with CGI, there's also quite a few people who are excited for this new technology and view it in a positive light. Makoto Shinkai, the director of Your Name, probably one of the most well-respected directors in modern-day Japan, has stated that he can't wait for the future of AI.
AI is actually quite great. It can make animation, write scripts, and create music. So I am one of those people who thinks very positively about AI. I think it could be a great tool. My dream is a day where I just think of a movie and I make the storyboard and give it to AI. Then AI can make the movie.
That said, Shinkai also made it a point to say that he doesn't realistically see himself using AI to make movies, but rather it would be the younger generation of anime directors after him. And
The cool thing about technology is always that it opens up a field to a wider range of people, which will then breed more creative stuff. I think both of these opinions or stances should be respected, and we should also allow to have conversations about it. Like the people who are completely against it, they're also valid in their feelings because they worked their entire life to achieve this type of talent, right? And then there's also people who say, hey, I'm not going to use it, but I'm happy for the next generation to be able to create much faster than I did. I think what always lacks in these types of debates and conversation is the scope and how far we're willing to look into the future, because AI will most definitely change society. Kids will grow up with an AI companion of some sort, maybe an AI maid at home, AI nanny or whatever. Their teachers will most likely be AI and have a curriculum that is tailored to their needs. And asking a future generation to pick up the pen and learn how to draw and learn how to animate is probably like telling a kid right now to learn how to ride a horse instead of using a car. Like it's gonna be that big of a gap and a difference. The fact is that AI will not disappear, and instead of having fights of whether we should use it or not, we should rather have proper conversation how to properly implement it, right?
And I think regardless of how anyone feels, most people would probably agree that AI isn't really there yet, you know, in terms of making a
not yet.
production. Despite
100%.
that, this hasn't stopped certain people in the industry from experimenting. For instance, just a few years ago, a project was put together to use AI to create a new one-shot of the popular Blackjack series, which was originally created by Osamu Tezuka of Astro Boy fame. In fact, Tezuka's oldest son, Makoto Tezuka, was actually a strong driving force in this project. He even stated that if his father was alive, he'd probably be all for them using AI here. And it isn't exclusive to manga, but even certain anime productions have incorporated AI into their workflow. K&K Designs, a small animation studio in Japan, has stated that they use AI in addition to human oversight to generate their in-between frames.
This is what I said.
In animation, there are keyframes and in-between frames. The keyframes are the main poses of the character. They basically define what the overall motion is going to look like. And the in-between frames are the more minor frames that go between these main frames. According to the studio, this reduces what typically would be a week-long process to just about 4 to 5 hours.
That's
and
crazy.
They're not the only ones who have begun to incorporate AI into their animation. In 2023, a 3-minute anime short released by Netflix titled The Dog and the Boy caught a lot of attention because it used generative AI to help create the art for
I think I saw clips of
this year. We've seen the release of Twins Hima, a new anime that claims to be the world's first 95% AI created anime. Though if you're to
look
a little deeper, that claim seems to be very heavily exaggerated. The underlying theme of all these productions that I've mentioned is that while yes, they were made with AI assistance, none of them were made fully with AI. However, the more and more these studios experiment, the more they're going to figure out ways to incorporate the technology. And this is something that's actually being very heavily encouraged by the Japanese government. Just last year, Japan's Agency for Cultural Affairs drew up a document titled General Understanding on AI and Copyright in Japan.
It makes sense because at this point, AI is just not going anywhere, right? It is here to stay. So instead of just letting it break loose and in worst case even cause damage, they take the initiative and try to control things, whatever they control when it comes to AI, right? Same with Denmark recently has released a law that basically makes it so that you own your face and your voice.
It's basically a document that details the legality of AI's use in official productions in the entertainment industry. And the guidelines for what is and isn't allowed are actually very lenient, which is kind of shocking given Japan's more reserved nature. Not only are AI created productions allowed to be made commercially, meaning you can make money on them, but the AI that is used to make them can be trained using any existing material. And that includes official copyrighted work.
That's crazy. I don't like this. I feel like there should be two things always given when it comes to training AI. Number one is consent. Just like when YouTube implemented AI training, they basically asked all of us creators, hey, do you allow us to train our AIs with your videos? And you can opt out of it. You can say no. And number two, I feel like there should be some sort of royalty service, even if it's just 1 cent or even a fraction of a cent. Like if you ask the AI, hey, can you generate a character that looks kind of like Luffy, but 10 years older and with white hair? Then the AI will probably use a bunch of things as reference that it learned in its data set, right? What is an old person? What does older mean? What does white hair mean? Who is Luffy? Who is Ichiro Oda? What type of art style does he have? Etc, etc. There will probably a million data sets that it will have to use as reference and generate that picture for you, right? And I feel like every single time it does that, the people should receive like a fraction of a cent. Yes, it would probably make the entire AI thing not sustainable. I mean, it's currently not sustainable either, right? But I feel like it would make things so much easier when it comes to talking about AI and generative AI to make this whole thing a little bit more viable, even for artists.
In case I've gone over your head a little bit, how generative AI works is that you feed it a ton of existing material to learn from and adapt to. In this case, it would be pre-existing anime. Then when you ask it to make something, it looks over the data that it's learned from and uses it as a reference for the thing it's going to make. And as you can imagine,
those hands. But it did not really look that bad either. Like if I would have blinked very fast, I would have probably thought it was an actual scene from Naruto. Like that did not look that bad if we're thinking about it like this. If I would just look at it with one eye, I would probably think this was legit from Naruto.
For the thing it's going to make. And as you can imagine,
Those
this
botched
has caused a very large debate on the actual legality of technology like this. Because you are taking pre-existing materials and incorporating them into this AI that is making the thing you tell it to make. Many Japanese companies have been very outspoken about the potential infringement on their copyright, and I mean, I can't really blame them. When you have AI that is beginning to mimic the art style and designs of your characters, it can get to the point that these works can start to confuse people.
What the fuck? This actually looks good. Like, holy shit. Maybe I underestimated how good AI is when it comes to anime because I've only seen that Saitama versus Goku clip and that looked horrible. But this over here, like if you don't pay attention to too much detail, right? It kind of looks legit already.
Like, wow, is that actually a clip from the show? It can be kind of misleading and has led to a lot of the companies talking with OpenAI to put restrictions on its updated Sora 2 AI model. I mean, even the Japanese government warned OpenAI about this recently now that all of these clips of AI-generated copyrighted anime are circulating about.
Oh, so they are against it.
The government is very lenient in terms of the materials used to generate the content. The content that's created still isn't allowed to blatantly steal another company's work. With all that said, though, this still doesn't really stop people from making AI anime in general. Sure, you can't straight up just make your own Dragon Ball anime with AI and sell it. That would obviously be illegal, but you can make something with original characters and plots that is heavily inspired by it. It's the same way how an artist like Eiichiro Oda was heavily inspired by Dragon Ball, but he still made something that is uniquely his. And this is how—
yeah, inspiration is very normal when it comes to art. Like my channel is inspired by the people that I watched growing up, and movie producers are inspired by the movies they watched growing up, etc. Like inspiration is one thing, stealing and copying is another, right?
a lot of people feel the future of anime and manga is going to go. That eventually pens and tablets will no longer even be necessary. People will just give their AI an idea and it'll create something. Maybe there'll be some human intervention here and there, but for the most part, it'll be a computer. There's a lot of people in the industry that feel as though AI has become an inevitability for anime production. Shoji Kawamori, the creator of Macross, has expressed this before in the past.
From a cost and speed perspective, perspective, I think it's inevitable that AI
This is what I said.
used. Putting aside the
This is what I said. If you read about the working conditions at some of those big animation studios, even from animation studios that I adore, like MAPPA, for example, they have fantastic animators and artists, but the working conditions are crazy. It's like, once again, strict deadlines, strict budgets, unpaid overwork. It's horrible.
I think it's just going to happen.
AI is a sort of Pandora's box. Now that it's open, there's a very good chance it's probably not going away anytime soon.
Yep.
The anime industry has been suffering from labor shortages recently, and I can see how it would make sense from a bigwig's perspective to fill those unoccupied positions with AI that would basically do everything for way cheaper. That said, though, I feel as though this doesn't have to be an inevitability. The reason why the anime industry is facing such a shortage of workers is because this industry just isn't very appealing to work in. If you're starting out as an animator for an anime production, chances are you're going to have to work a brutal schedule for pay that won't even cover your living expenses. Why would you want to pursue a career in animation if that's what's waiting for you? Perhaps if these production committees would just pay the studios a little more, this wouldn't be happening. You know,
and it's still remarkable that people still do it, right? Because it's passion. Their only driving force is passion, right? They know it's a shitty job with shitty work environments. They still do it because their heart is telling them to, which is absolutely remarkable.
You don't have to eat foie gras every weekend. The reason these labor shortages exist isn't because people aren't interested in animation. It's because this industry is abusive and treats its animators like trash.
Yeah.
If the conditions for animators were to improve, I'm sure there would be many young, passionate animators who would be more than happy to try and make a name for themselves. And well, that's what I've always admired about anime and manga as a medium. This industry was built on the backs of people who were passionate about their art and just wanted to make something that people would remember. When I think of anime, sure, I think of all the amazing characters and the incredible animation and all the different stories that have been told over the years. But I also think of the people who brought all of these stories to life. And
exactly my points. Thank you so much for saying this, Kitsune Anime, but this is what I meant. It's like the love behind the art, the interest behind the art, the curiosity will never go away. As I said, the mainstream will probably adapt to AI, but there will always be studios like Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki, and there will always be people who will appreciate it. But the numbers will probably decrease and it will not be very frequent anymore.
Sure, technological advancement has helped shape the industry as well, but no matter what, there was always a human, genuine people who were molding all of this and creating it. And when it comes to AI, it just seems like as time goes on, we're trying more and more to cut out that human element. Where's the soul, the passion, the intent, and creativity? Are we really just gonna live in a future where everything we consume is just made by a computer? Are we all just gonna be mindlessly sitting in our chairs while our personal AIs just create a never-ending stream of generated content while we... You know, this is kind of actually reminding me of something. I swear it's like on the tip of my tongue. I can't place it though. It's... Oh my God, wait. Oh my God, you guys, it's the people from... Whoa! I predicted it! This is what I'm leading to! Oh my God, there's no way to stop it! Oh Jesus, is this really the future? Is this really the future you all want?
That was a very, very, very good video, and I just agree with almost everything Kitsune has said. I'm gonna give this video a thumbs up first, and yeah, what is there to say other than I hope we will never remove the human soul from the stuff that we create. Even if 99% is AI created, I hope that 1% still remains human, the human soul who is behind that art, creating it. Once again, the struggles that the human had creating the art is also part of the art and makes the art more valuable and more interesting in most cases. Like Saitama, for example, the other day I read that Saitama looks like this because the creator of One Punch Man didn't know how to draw at the beginning. That's part of the manga, basically. It's part of the soul of the manga is that the main character looks like that because the creator did not really know how to properly draw people. Or stuff like the marks on Cell's body. I remember reading a story about Toriyama around the time when he passed away, where he admitted that those marks were like a terrible mistake. I mean, he did not regret doing it, but it was kind of like a terrible design choice because they were such a chore to draw and very tedious, especially for the animation. But those types of story will make you appreciate Cell a little bit more, like the design of Cell. Not like I wasn't appreciating the design of Cell before. I feel like all of the villains that Toriyama made were fantastic. But now when I take a look at Cell, I will be able to value that design a little bit more than I did before, knowing that story, right? And that is something we should not really take for granted, and we should also not underestimate. Because if we get to a point where there's zero involvement from a human and it's 100% made by an AI, and an AI that does not have any background story or any struggles learning how to draw, stuff like that, it will just be basically an algorithm or a script that is just creating these stories, keyframes, animations, coloring, effects, and all of that. And there's zero human involvement. It will probably still be entertaining to us, it will probably still look fantastic, but it will kind of end there, right? There will not be an artist that you can read more about, because it will be Toei Animation AI as the artist, right? It will end at the art, and the love for the artist might die, actually. To my example with Neurosummer, let's just say that Twitch will offer Vettel a sum that it's very hard to refuse, right? Generational money, let's say $2 billion, right? And then now Twitch owns Neurosummer, and then some Twitch staff will look over her code. You think Neurosummer will still maintain her community and still continue to grow? I doubt it. I think the human part of Neurosummer is very important. Alrighty, that was it from me. Please let me know what you think about AI in anime in the comment section below. Show the original creator Kitsune Anime some love. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and we'll see each other in the next one. Auf Wiedersehen, Jinyo Force. Bye bye.